The screen went black at 03:47 hours. $1 billion radar system. Dead. Killed by something that costs less than my monthly car payment. I'm Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen, USAF, 29 years old. 7 years working radar systems. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought our technology was untouchable. I was wrong about everything. 3 days ago, I was just another technician running the night shift in our radar control facility. The kind of place where billion-dollar equipment hums 24/7, where every blip on the screen matters, where we track everything from commercial aircraft to birds. The control room is my second home. Banks of monitors stretching wall to wall, server racks humming with processing power, the smell of electronics and recycled air. I've spent more hours in that chair than in my own bed. I grew up thinking our military technology was the best in the world, indestructible, superior. When I joined the Air Force, they showed us videos of our radar systems tracking multiple targets simultaneously, processing thousands of data points per second, guiding million-dollar interceptor missiles to their targets with pinpoint accuracy. The most advanced defense system on Earth, they called it. I believed every word. My shift started like any other. Coffee at 2200 hours, system checks at 2230, everything green across the board. The radar array was performing perfectly, sweeping the sky in precise arcs, painting a picture of everything within a 200-mile radius. Commercial flights showed up as steady blips with transponder codes. Weather patterns registered as diffuse clouds of return signals. Birds appeared as tiny, erratic movements. Everything normal. Everything under control. I remember thinking how quiet it was that night. My partner, Airman Rodriguez, was reading a technical manual. The only sounds were the constant hum of cooling fans and the occasional beep of system updates. The screens cast their blue glow across our faces. Outside, I could see the massive radar dish slowly rotating against the star-filled sky, a monument to American engineering. $1 billion of the most sophisticated detection technology ever built. The first sign something was wrong came at 03:15 hours. A small contact appeared on the edge of our coverage area. Single target, low altitude, slow speed. Nothing unusual about that. Could be a small aircraft, maybe someone flying without proper clearance. Rodriguez noticed it first. Contact bearing 280, range 180 miles, altitude 500 feet, he called out. Speed 80 knots. I pulled up the tracking data. The signature was strange, smaller than a typical aircraft, but moving in a straight line. Too consistent for a bird, too small for a manned aircraft, but not unprecedented. We'd tracked similar contacts before. Usually turned out to be nothing. Probably a drone, I told Rodriguez. Some civilian with a toy he shouldn't be flying. That's when more contacts started appearing. Small blips, all coming from the same general direction. Low altitude, slow speed. The screen started filling with tiny dots moving toward our position. Jesus, Rodriguez whispered. How many are there? I counted quickly. 12 contacts, then 16, then 23. All moving in rough formation, all heading directly toward us. The pattern was too organized to be coincidental, too coordinated to be civilian. This isn't right, I said, reaching for the secure phone to alert command. This looks like a swarm. That's when I realized what we were looking at. Multiple drone launches, simultaneous deployment, a coordinated attack using cheap, expendable platforms. The IRGC's asymmetric warfare strategy in action. Everything we'd been briefed about but never actually seen. The contacts kept multiplying. 37 drones. 42, 56, all heading straight for our facility. Our billion-dollar radar system was tracking every one of them perfectly, painting them bright green on our screens, calculating their speed and trajectory with millimeter precision. The technology was working exactly as designed. I called command. Control, this is Radar Station Alpha. We have multiple small contacts inbound, count now 62 and climbing. Pattern suggests coordinated drone attack. Request immediate intercept authorization. Copy Radar Alpha. Stand by. Stand by. While dozens of hostile drones closed on our position at 80 knots, while our billion-dollar system tracked them with perfect clarity, but couldn't do anything to stop them. That's when the reality hit me. Our radar was designed to detect threats, not engage them. We could see everything coming, but we couldn't shoot any of it down. We were like a man with perfect eyesight watching a freight train bear down on him while standing tied to the tracks. The drones kept coming. The screen was filling with contacts. I watched them approach our outer perimeter. 78 drones, 85, 92. Each one probably cost less than a used car, each one carrying enough explosive to damage critical infrastructure. Rodriguez, start the emergency shutdown sequence, I ordered. If they're targeting the radar array, maybe we can minimize the damage. But we'll be blind, he protested. We're about to be dead, I replied. My hands were shaking as I initiated the protective protocols. Decades of technological development, millions of hours of engineering, billions of dollars of investment, and our best defense was to turn everything off and hope for the best. The first impacts came at 03:41 hours. I felt them as much as heard them. A series of sharp explosions echoing across the facility. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Emergency alarms started wailing. Red lights flashed across our control boards. Direct hits on the primary array, Rodriguez reported, his voice cracking. We're losing sectors 2 through 7. I watched our coverage map turn red, section by section. Blind spots appeared and expanded. Our perfect situational awareness was disappearing in real time. The most advanced radar system on Earth was being systematically destroyed by what amounted to remote control toys. More explosions, closer this time. The main power fluctuated. Half our screens went dark, then flickered back to life, showing error messages. System failure cascades across multiple subsystems. $1 billion investment reduced to a collection of expensive paperweights. How much do you think one of those drones cost? Rodriguez asked, staring at the chaos on our screens. Maybe $500, I said. Maybe $2,000 if they're fancy. And this whole facility? Over $1 billion, easy. The mathematics of asymmetric warfare. 1,000-to-1 cost ratio working in favor of the attacker. David versus Goliath, except David brought 92 stones, and Goliath's armor was designed to stop arrows, not pebbles. Another wave of impacts. The secondary power systems failed. Most of our screens went black. The constant hum of electronics that had been the soundtrack of my career suddenly went quiet. In the sudden silence, I could hear my own heartbeat. I could hear Rodriguez breathing. I could hear the distant sound of fires burning outside. System status? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Primary array offline, secondary array offline, backup systems offline. We've got maybe 30% of our original coverage, and that's failing fast. 30% of $1 billion system, destroyed in 6 minutes by an enemy that spent less on their entire attack than we spend on coffee in a year. That's when the lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in, casting everything in red. The few remaining screens showed critical system failures across the board. Our magnificent radar facility had been reduced to a tomb of dead electronics. I sat down on the floor, right there in the control room. Not because I was ordered to, not because it was protocol, but because my legs wouldn't hold me up anymore. Rodriguez joined me, both of us staring at the dark screens that had defined our world. They used cheap drones, I said, more to myself than to him. Yeah, disposable drones. Probably cost less than the coffee machine in the break room. Yeah. And they just destroyed $1 billion radar system. Yeah, the enormity of it was settling in, not just the tactical defeat, but the strategic implications. If cheap drones could overwhelm our most sophisticated defenses, what did that mean for everything else? Our aircraft carriers, our missile defense systems, our entire military doctrine. I thought about all the briefings I'd attended about American technological superiority, all the PowerPoint presentations showing our advanced capabilities. All the confidence that our billion-dollar systems made us untouchable. It was all based on the assumption that our enemies would fight us symmetrically, using expensive platforms we could detect and expensive weapons we could intercept. Nobody had prepared us for an enemy smart enough to use our sophistication against us, to overwhelm our expensive sensors with cheap targets, to bankrupt our defense budget with their attack budget. The cost differential is insane, I said to Rodriguez. They probably spent $50,000 total on that attack. We lost over $1 billion in equipment, plus however many millions it'll cost to rebuild. It's like bringing a calculator to a math fight, Rodriguez replied. We built the perfect machine to solve the wrong problem. That's exactly what it was. We'd built a system optimized for tracking sophisticated aircraft and guiding expensive interceptor missiles. We'd never considered what would happen if someone decided to attack us with a swarm of disposable platforms, too cheap to waste interceptors on, and too numerous for our tracking systems to prioritize effectively. The IRGC had studied our technology and found its weakness. Not a design flaw or a manufacturing defect, but a conceptual blind spot. We'd assumed our enemies would be as invested in expensive platforms as we were. We'd never considered that they might choose quantity over quality, expendability over sophistication. Sitting on that control room floor, surrounded by dead screens and failed electronics, I realized I'd witnessed a revolution in warfare. Not the kind with better armor or faster jets, but the kind that changes the fundamental mathematics of conflict. The kind that makes billion-dollar systems obsolete overnight. The rescue teams found us there 2 hours later, still sitting on the floor, still trying to process what had happened. The facility was a total loss. The radar array looked like a scrapyard. Months of repairs ahead, assuming they decided it was worth rebuilding at all. "How bad is it?" the recovery team leader asked. "Complete mission kill," I reported. "Primary and secondary arrays destroyed. Control systems offline. Estimated repair time 6 to 8 months, assuming we can get replacement components." "And the attackers?" "Cheap drones, maybe 100 of them total. Probably cost less than our monthly maintenance budget." The team leader just stared at me. I could see him doing the same math I'd been doing. The same impossible, humiliating math that defined our new reality. They've transferred me to a different assignment now. Desk duty, while they investigate what happened and how to prevent it from happening again. But I don't think they understand the problem yet. It's not a matter of better detection or faster response times. It's a matter of economics. As long as it costs us more to defend than it costs them to attack, we're fighting a losing battle. Every time I close my eyes, I see those screens full of contacts. Dozens of tiny blips representing thousands of dollars in equipment, destroying millions of dollars in infrastructure. The most lopsided military exchange in history, and we were on the wrong side of it. The official report will call it a successful enemy attack on a strategic asset. It'll recommend upgrades to our defensive systems, better coordination with interceptor platforms, improved early warning protocols, all expensive solutions to an expensive problem. But they're missing the point. This wasn't a failure of our technology. It was a failure of our thinking. We built the perfect system to fight the last war, and our enemies built the perfect system to fight the next one. Somewhere in Iran, military planners are probably celebrating the most cost-effective attack in modern warfare history. They spent the price of a used car and disabled a system that cost more than a skyscraper. They proved that American technological superiority has a price tag, and they found a way to exploit it. I keep thinking about those drones. Simple machines with basic electronics, probably assembled in workshops with hand tools. No advanced materials, no classified technology, no billion-dollar research programs. Just enough sophistication to fly straight and explode on target. The military equivalent of a Swiss Army knife defeating a supercomputer. Tomorrow they're sending me to Washington for debriefings, rooms full of generals and defense contractors trying to understand how this happened. How the most advanced military in the world got outmaneuvered by remote control aircraft that cost less than a motorcycle. I don't think they'll like my answer. The problem isn't that our technology failed. The problem is that our technology succeeded perfectly, and it still wasn't enough. We built exactly what we intended to build, and it was the wrong thing entirely. The age of expensive military platforms is ending. The future belongs to whoever can build the cheapest effective weapon and deploy it in the largest numbers. We're still thinking in terms of quality over quantity, precision over persistence, sophistication over simplicity. Our enemies are thinking in terms of mathematics, and the math is not in our favor. I'm still sitting here, 3 days later, trying to understand how 92 drones that cost less than my salary destroyed a radar system that cost more than most people will earn in their lifetime. Trying to understand how David didn't just beat Goliath, but made Goliath's size and strength irrelevant. The control room is empty now. They've salvaged what they could and written off the rest. Billion-dollar equipment reduced to scrap metal and spare parts. The most advanced radar facility in the world turned into a monument to strategic miscalculation. I don't know if they'll rebuild it. I don't know if there's any point in rebuilding it. As long as drones cost hundreds and radar systems cost billions, the economics will always favor the attacker. We can make our defenses stronger, but they can make their attacks cheaper. We can build higher walls, but they can build more ladders. That's the lesson nobody wants to learn. That's the reality nobody wants to face. We've spent decades building the perfect defense against the wrong threat, and now that the right threat has arrived, all our billion-dollar systems are just expensive targets waiting to be destroyed by $1,000 weapons. The war hasn't changed, but the economics of war have changed completely, and we're still fighting with yesterday's budget against tomorrow's tactics.